everybody. It's Georgia Rose from the Zencuda Soul Space. I do this every week. I'm like pointing to the wrong corner. Zencuda Soul Space. Over here. That's where I am. I'm in the corner. So I am coming to you live from beautiful Strong Island Studios in Massapequa, New York. And if you're ever in the area, you should stop down and say hi to my producer, Bobby Lacera. He's great. We actually do have a couple of spaces in our time slot for some more podcasts. So if you're looking to do something, you should definitely talk to Bobby. So I am going to share the show like we always do every week. And for those of you piling into the soul space with me, please share the show, because I would love to see you in the soul space. And I love to see your comments, and all the things that we talk about in here are so much fun. So you can comment, you can call in live. So I am Georgia Rose. I am a psychic astrologer, and I am the founder of Zencuda, which is a positive media online and also a community. So, boy, I got to tell you, the energy the last couple of weeks, especially into this week, I was talking about it on last week's show, but I didn't know it was going to be this whirly girly. It is definitely like a beehive on steroids out there. I mean, people are losing their boop, and it seems like everything is just so intense. So I wanted to do tonight's show, which is all about staying, zen in the chaos, and how do we protect our own peace. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. I'm just going to share the show on one more page that I have in my live feed over here, and hopefully people will come join me in the soul space. And if you at home or wherever you are want to share the show, I would be really grateful for that too, because we are trying to grow our community of like-minded souls. So this energy is off the hook. I mean, I've felt some very powerful energy in the last couple of years, especially since that grand conjunction in 2020. In December of 2020, we've had all kinds of craziness in the world, obviously a lot of chaos, but I have never felt energy this heightened in a really long time, probably since that time. Everything seems very speeded up. A lot of changes going on, almost so rapidly that we can't really keep up with them, whether it's social or political or even things in our personal lives. It just seems like everything is extreme. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons for that tonight. Look at some of the astrology, and then I'm also going to give you some tips and guidelines as to how you can actually work with the energy, so that instead of using it to upset you or make you unsettled, we can use the energy maybe to progress ourselves forward. So I'd love to see your comments in the chat, and if you have anything to say about the energy or just something that's going on in your life, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So first, I'm going to start with the astrology. Gosh, I got to tell you, the astrology for the month of August is, I don't know any other word to use except extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. This is a month where we've got, truthfully, almost like a traffic jam and a backup of planets, retrogrades and squares and all kinds of things that are so intense that I think it's going to be very hard for us to protect our peace, but we'll do it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time. I'm a psychic astrologer. I practice evolutionary astrology, and I'm a founder of Zencuda. And Zencuda is an online community, a lot of positive content. You can find me on YouTube at zencuda.com on YouTube. You can find my website if you want to see any of the former podcasts that we've done. They're on my website. They're also on Spotify, Apple, all kinds of wherever podcasts are. You can even ask your Amazon Alexa to play the latest Soul Space podcast with Georgia Rose, and she will do that for you. How awesome is that? So I am someone who's been probably on the spiritual journey now for about 15 years, maybe more actually, when I think about it, more like 20. And I talk a lot about my own direct experience and a lot of the modalities that I've learned along the way, Reiki and healing and tarot cards. I am a psychic intuitive, and especially evolutionary astrology, because out of all the modalities that I have ever really resonated with and have found healing and growth with, astrology is my main game. But, like I said, I am a psychic intuitive, so I read the chart psychically. So it's not unusual on this show for us to have guests and spiritual wisdom, and also talk about, astrology as an energy that we can use to guide ourselves, not so much in a predictive way, but in a way that almost like a weather report where if you know it's going to rain, you should bring your umbrella. It's the same thing with astrology. When you know it's coming up, it really helps. So knowing that this is an extraordinary month should help us, right? And help us to watch out for the pitfalls as well as bring us to a place where we can use the energy for good, right? Superpowers. So before I get too into the energy, what I'd like to do, because I know a lot of you have been looking for readings, whether they're astrology chart readings or tarot or psychic readings, and we launched my website last week, and then, don't you know it, as usual, with a Mercury going retrograde, we had some technical difficulties and my emails weren't working properly. So I'd like to show you that website right now, and I'd love to hear your comments about what you think of it. Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Rose from Zencuda, and here is our beautiful new website, Zencuda.com. So I want to show you a little bit and give you a tour of this beautiful site that we have. And everything is all in one place now, and you can do everything Zencuda right on our website. So when you log into the homepage, there's a little space here where you can go right to Zencuda Astrology, online classes, or book a reading or coaching session with me. Not only do I offer astrology readings and coaching sessions, but I also do tarot work and all kinds of things to help you get in touch with your own soul space and living Zencuda. There's also a place here where I describe my journey and what it was like for me to actually found the Zencuda community and be able to bring you all of the healing techniques that we do and the philosophies of evolutionary astrology, spiritual wisdom, and yoga. And you can read about what my journey was like. And in addition to that, if you go on to book a reading, you can actually book a reading for any session that you really would like to have. For instance, a 1-hour astrology chart reading, a tarot card reading. I also do synastry chart readings for couples. And I can also do a long distance healing meditation and Reiki session. And you can even purchase our Circle of Light Oracle cards, which were created by myself in order to put healing and light into your day. If you go back up, there's also a space where we're going to be putting our online classes. Those will be very, very soon. If you'd like to be informed about those online classes about astrology and spirituality, yoga, all sorts of things, you can join our wait list and just give us your email and we'll be sure to let you know exactly when classes will be starting. And this button here brings you right to the Soul Space podcast. You can now watch the Soul Space live or past Soul Space podcast right on our Zencuda.com page. You can listen to them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on YouTube and enjoy every minute and never miss a show. So I hope you'll look at this beautiful website. I'm also writing blogs about my journey, and we're in the process of importing all the older blogs that I've written in the last 5 to 10 years right on our Rose blog page, which is my beautiful blog. And you can, anytime you want, just come in and read all about my own journey to finding Zencuda. If you want to work with me in a small or large group or book me for reading or doing a gallery style reading or a public speaking event or even a retreat, you can do that on our Work with Georgia page. And hopefully we can help you create your future with some coaching or some astrology workshops. So that is our beautiful Zencuda.com site. I hope you'll be on there. We're also developing a space for community on there where you can learn more about astrology and spirituality and all kinds of things, and we can support each other on our beautiful, beautiful journey to finding our own soul space and living Zencuda. So that's my new website, and I want to apologize to anyone who was trying to book a reading last week. The emails weren't going into my email system, but it works. Everything works great now. I was able to actually get in touch with a few of you who did call. And if you go on to book a reading and you book and you just choose what time and when you want your reading, it actually creates a Zoom link and emails me directly so that it's a done deal. So thank you so much for those of you who are being patient, because it really was kind of a very glitchy week. And it's still going on, unfortunately. So Mercury is officially in retrograde as of yesterday. And I will tell you that this Mercury retrograde is going to be a doozy. I talked about it last week on the show. I'm calling it a triple whammy retrograde because Venus is exalted in Virgo And I mean, Mercury is exalted in Virgo. And so it's very powerful. And retrograde in Virgo is one of the strongest Mercury retrogrades we can have. On top of that, we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion, in Gemini, which is a Mercury sign. So we've got almost like a triple dose of Mercury going on. So what does that mean for all of us? Well, Virgo is the sign of health. So be careful if anything is starting to be a little niggly or anything, nagging you. Definitely go to the doctor and make sure that it is checked out. Virgo is also the way we appear in the world as far as service to the world. So if you've been thinking about doing any kind of a healing modality for yourself or actually learning that for others, it's a great time to take a course of study to learn how to do something, Reiki or whatever that might be for you, even if it's something more in the practical world, like a nursing degree or some kind of healing modality that way in the medical field. Virgo is definitely great for that. Virgo is also our work in the world as far as service goes, but it's what is meaningful to us, heartfelt. So when Mercury goes retrograde, we may find a couple of stumbling blocks or something, a structure that gets in the way of our true desires. Whatever we start now, whatever plan we act on now, whatever plans we change now or find changeable now, anything that we start is going to be probably not bear fruit until the end of September. So just keep that in mind when you start something because, on the topic of trying to keep our zen and protect our peace, sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves or we have a really high expectation of something. And that will create more pressure. So in a sky with this Mercury retrograde, what you really want to do is make sure that you're setting realistic goals and taking advantage of realistic opportunities. If something seems too big to do, it probably is. And also remember that sometimes when we're doing a goal, we need to measure our success and our achievement in increments because we think that, I'm laughing because I was just talking about the technical difficulties and the clock that sets the time for how long I am doing my show completely fell on the ground just now. So I don't know if somebody wants to come in and fix that for me. Can't tell the time, guys. So anyway, so we want to make sure that when you're trying to achieve something or doing your goals, you're doing it in increments because in a sky like this, it's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So don't try and shoot the whole moon in one arrow, you've got to really do it a little by little. I've been really trying to pace myself. And what I like to do when Mercury is retrograde, especially when it's so powerfully retrograde like it is right now, one of the things that I love to do is I start to get up a half hour or 45 minutes early every day. And by doing that, it helps me to be able to organize my day a little more. And with this Mercury retrograde, we also have a lot of aspects to Saturn this month. And Saturn is, Chronos, it's time. So one of the things that I think can really help us keep our peace in this particular astrology weather is really think about what your relationship with time is. Because oftentimes, like in my coaching world, when I coach people, whether it's in a professional setting or whether it's, in a spiritual setting, one of the first things we work on together is their relationship with time. And, we don't just have relationships with people. We have relationships with everything in the world. That word relationship means how do you relate to something, to a thing, a situation, a person, a living being, whatever it might be. I mean, we have relationships with food. We have relationships with exercise. We have relationships with our loved ones. We have relationships with the way we do things. It's the way we relate to everything. And in a sky like this, time, our relationship with time becomes very important. For instance, are you someone whose relationship with time is impatient? And whenever you have to wait in a doctor's office overly long or the flight is delayed, are you someone who just, is jumping out of your skin and melting down and you really don't want to have to spend time? It's excruciating for you to spend time anywhere where your mind isn't completely occupied, and time in that sense can feel very heavy and threatening. Or are you someone who, I have to get the kids to baseball and I have to pick up the dry cleaning and I have to take the dog to the groomer and, oh my God, I only have an hour and a half and how am I going to do all this? And you're constantly in a state of rush. Then for you, time is an enemy. You never have enough of it. So think about what your relationship to time is, because having a really healthy relationship to time will help you keep zen and keep peaceful, because you're not going to feel like pressure to fill in space that is idle, and you're not going to feel restricted and frustrated when you have a litany of things to do and you're looking at the clock. And the way that you can make your relationship with time more balanced is by thinking about the way you spend time during the day. Like, just even take one day randomly and write down everything you do during the day. Like, keep writing, keeping a log. And when you look at that, you'll see, where am I wasting time and where am I really overextended? And that will help you to understand where you need more balance. And that's why oftentimes in a sky like this, when we have a Mercury retrograde with Jupiter in a sign ruled by Mercury, and then Jupiter and Mercury having conversations, and those planets having conversations with Saturn, which is really time and the authority and the law of time, I will get up a half hour, 45 minutes early every day. And I find it ways to make my time very, very productive, very efficient, and very useful. I combine trips. I make sure I schedule things like, well, that's too much for one day. Let me put this into this day. And that way I know I'll be able to spend time and focus and be present. So really, first of all, look at your relationship with time, because with the astrology that we have, and also with trying to keep zen, it's very, very important to have a better relationship with time. And if any of you want more help with that, you can always book a coaching session, and we can absolutely work on your relationship with time. I'll look at the way you spend your day, how you make time for yourself and others, and what your MO is with time. And it's really going to change your life. So that's one way to really keep our zen, because when we're not aware of what the zen looks like, when we're not aware of where we're giving ourselves more stress, a lot of times it's a time thing. It's like, well, you didn't leave yourself enough time. No wonder you're stressed. You know, like last week was a week where every day I just was wishing I was able to be more calm about my daily health routine, as far as, just even simply taking a shower and being able to do my hair and makeup and look presentable. I was so rushed some days that like wasn't able to do that. It was like, okay, the hair's up in a knot, and, I got to just wear this dress, and I really don't like this dress. And, it might sound very superficial, but that really plays into our energy. And also, one of the things that I've taken on, which I never used to like to do, and now I do, for most of my last decade, I've been a yogi, and I do yoga. And I avoid the gym because I don't like the noise and the loud lights and all of these things. It's just not me. I'm not a gym rat. But as you get older, you really need to strengthen your muscle tone, and you need to strengthen so that you can, lift yourself up and do things in case you have an injury. And I had a bad injury last winter in February. Ended up in a wheelchair for 3 weeks. So that was an eye-opener as to how much strength I have in my upper body, all kinds of things like that. And I'm a very healthy person, but I've been going to the gym every day for the last several weeks, and I'm enjoying it now. And the reason I'm enjoying it is because I knew I had to spend a certain amount of time there, and I didn't want it to be, a drudgery. I didn't want it to be something that I didn't like to do. I like to have optimism and happiness in my life. So what I do now in the gym is I use that hour as my astrology hour. And in my ears, instead of playing, music or loud things, I am listening to astrology, and I'm listening to my mentors, and I'm listening to, private videos that my mentors have done. And I am expanding my knowledge while I am spending time with myself. And that's a really good, efficient, beautiful, productive way to spend my time. Whereas before, maybe I was, kind of idle during that hour, or I go to the gym and just keep looking at the clock, or looking at the counter on one of the machines. How many more minutes do I have on here? And now the time flies because I've managed the time well. So that's the relationship that we have with time. So I just wanted to give you that direct experience so that you could maybe, think about an example in your own life. So I have Gina watching. Hey, Gina Marie, how are you tonight? And Sarah, one of my super champs. Sarah is one of the biggest supporters of our channels and our work. Thank you so much. She's definitely feeling the intensity. Oh, yeah. And I've got Gira on. I know Gira had wanted a reading as well. And I've got Nilda, brand new. Everyone, please send hearts and thumbs up to Nilda. Nilda's in the soul space tonight, and she is someone who heard me on Joanne Garfey McNally's show and is now a member of Soul Space. I love it. Zencuda Soul Space for you. Welcome, welcome, Nilda. We're so happy you're here. And I have Kim Murray. So much unsteady energy on, says Kim. I got to tell you, the energy is like wonk, 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 wonk. What I'm seeing is a lot of people melt down. Things that aren't so drastic are really being over exaggerated. The other thing I'm seeing is that everybody wants a drama moment all of a sudden. It's like, hey, relax. You don't need to be the one in the drama. You don't need to be the one out there causing the drama. Everybody wants to be seen, be heard. I'm over here. It's too much. It's too much. So this week, we started out the week on the 2nd with Venus squaring Uranus. That's one of the reasons why the energy is like this. Okay. Uranus is a planet of awakening, sudden shocking things. It's like electricity, and Venus is the things we love and value, and they're in a square, which is attention. Venus, as of today, is now in Virgo, so we've got Venus and Mars in Venus and Mercury in Virgo. Mercury is a retrograde Mercury, so when you have Venus and Mercury in Virgo, it's annoying because Venus is the things we love, the things we value, right? In Virgo, it's picky and it's critical. But with Mercury in a retrograde, it's also delays, glitches. You've got to pay really close attention to things. So one of the ways to keep your Zen in that energy is focus, focus, focus. You got to slow your roll, take it down a notch, and really focus on the activities that you really want to do, because Mercury retrograde is like the poke in the back. It's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, look over here now. Do this. And the higher octave of Mercury retrograde, especially in Virgo, is doing things with tremendous focus so that you do them correctly and you're fully present and you're not making the mistake. Typically speaking, you book the trip and you hit the wrong date on your reservation. And then you're like, oh my God, my date's wrong. I'm not supposed to leave today and it's not till tomorrow. Well, why is that? Because you weren't fully focused. It's not Mercury retrograde causing that. Right? You sign a contract and the last paragraph had something in it that really wasn't agreeable to you. That's not Mercury retrograde. That's because you didn't pay attention. So Mercury retrograde is like a scream from the universe saying, what are you not paying attention to? Pay attention here. We really need you to do this. And so when we have a sky like that, what you want to do is do whatever you need to do to slow your roll and fully focus, especially on the things that are very, very important. Then we have and Mercury went retrograde exact today. It's stationed. Interesting story. When Mercury started to station retrograde, it was squaring Uranus, which was already in retrograde. Mercury was already in retrograde motion, in the shadow is what we call it. And then Uranus already was in retrograde. So when that happened, that exact day when it first hit its shadow was July 21st. And that was the day that Biden was out. That's the day Biden said, he's out of the race, whatever. It was also the day of the biggest internet outage that we had, that crowdsourcing thing. So what's going to happen with this Mercury retrograde is we've got 3 of those happening. The Mercury retrograde squaring Uranus because the retrograde motions on the planets. So whatever was going on for you July 21st when those 2 things happened, energy is going to repeat, right? It's separate, but it's related to those events. And it will be something surprising. So the dates of those squares, the Mercury squaring Uranus, is August 18th and 19th, like around that time frame. Like I would say from August 14th to 20th are going to be the change, and the stuff that happens, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, are going to be unbelievable. But the first time it happened was the 21st. Second square is going to be like the 18th, 19th, which is right when they're having the Democratic Convention. And then the third time that Mercury squares Uranus is September 16th. So all of those dates are related. So what happened on July 21st, something related to that will hit again on August 18th. Separate events, but a repeating theme. They're related. For instance, like Biden was out of the race, right? And they said, he just isn't going to be in. He didn't really ever say anything about his health. But maybe on the 18th, something comes out related to that. Why did Biden have to step down? Was it something to do with Kamala Harris? Was it, but I'm telling you, there's something in that sequence. And then on September 16th. So this is separate but related events on those 3 dates. And watch and go back into your texts and your emails and your calendars and look at what was going on for me July 21st that could come in with shocking, separate, related events that will continue until that 9/16th date, August 18th, 9/16th, when that Mercury squares Uranus each time. And what's also heightening that is that Mercury retrograde squaring Uranus, it doesn't end till the end of September. So the plans and the changes that we have now aren't going to really bear fruit until September as well. So September, you're going to see a lot of the changes that are taking place in August start to really, around the second, third week of September, start to really be clear to us and manifest. And, whether you're working on something that's a project that's really great and for your full potential, or there's something that you're waiting to kind of clear out that has lived past its life expectancy, so to speak, it's decaying. Either way, second to third week of September is when you see real movement and you understand. Things will happen. You're going to see movement, but you're not going to have the clarity until after that date. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that August 18th, 19th time frame because it's very, very important. So then on the 7th this week coming up, we've got Sun and Jupiter doing a little dance, and we've got Mercury actually conjuncting, being right on top of Venus in the sign of Virgo. So to be honest, folks, this week from today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's no way for me to say it calmly or succinctly. It's really annoying energy. It's just really annoying. When you've got Venus and Mercury together, it's our desires, our hopes, our dreams, our wishes, the things that are meaningful to us, being a little bit out of reach, being glitchy, being not doing what we want them to do, so it's annoying. And on top of that, we've also got Jupiter and Saturn speaking and talking and going around the zodiac in a very strong conversation. And Jupiter wants us to grow and move forward and expand. And Saturn is like, no, I am the law. I am the authority. You will be in this framework and you will not go outside of this fence, So it's very, very annoying, push-pull. We want to grow, we want to do stuff, but it's just not happening yet kind of energy. And that's going to continue for most of this month because Mercury retro doesn't end until really around that 9/16, 9/28 time. But now August 29th also, Venus goes into Leo. It's going to trine Pluto. That's going to be a powerful energy as well. But I want to go back to the thing that is really making this month the extraordinary time. And I spoke about it a lot on the last podcast. If you want to go back and listen to it, it's right in the middle of the showish. And that's that August 18th, 19th date. There is so much going on in the zodiac during that time that I couldn't even explain it all to you in this show. And furthermore, unless you really are deep into astrology, you wouldn't really be able to understand all the nuances anyway. But what I'm going to say is that we are in a point of conflict right now. This is a point of conflict for the universe. Between August 14th and August 20th, like I said, it's almost like a traffic jam in the zodiac. We've got Jupiter and Saturn having a conversation. We've got an Aquarius full moon on the 19th, which is squaring Uranus, which Mercury retrograde has been squaring Uranus. We've got just all of this energy that I wouldn't even, list all of it, but it has a lot to do with that expansive, beautiful conjunction that happened in December of 2020. When we had that once in a lifetime conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto all in Capricorn. And now we've got Pluto retrograde going back to that point in the zodiac, reliving, digging up the dirt. It's like the ocean when it swirls around in a storm and all the sand comes to the top. Things are going to be revealed. It's expansive growth. Bobby, the clock fell. It's expansive growth. Bobby. Clock fell. I can't see time. I was talking about Saturn being the Lord of Time and the clock fell off the camera stand. I'll edit that part out, don't worry. Haha, that was a joke. Okay. Time is flying. That Saturn's going around the zodiac. So we're in a point of conflict because the expansive growth that huge conjunction in December of 2020, we had Jupiter, which is expansion, Saturn, which is restriction, but also Saturn is authority. It's wisdom, it's tradition. And Pluto, which is our desires, our soul's desires, but it comes up from the depth. Those three planets came together in December of 2020, which caused a point of conflict, but it also caused expansive growth. Look at what happened in the world. Yes, you can say it's chaos and conflict, but it's expansive growth. We have so much change. It's unbelievable. So now we're going to touch that point in the zodiac again, because those two planets that started that expansive growth in December of 2020 are now squaring. And they do it 3 times because of the retrogrades, right? Things come in threes. They're going to do it August 19th, December 24th, and June 25th, 2025. And I'm repeating this because I know I spoke about it on the last show, but that's how important it is. This is probably one of the few things you'll hear me repeat a lot. So what is happening in the country where I live on August 19th? Well, they're doing a Democratic convention. And we just had a big shakeup with Biden coming out of the race, etc. And I have no political opinions. I don't really believe in or worship or even get involved or commit myself to any external force. I only go by a force which is much greater than humanity. So I don't have a favorite. I don't have a horse in the race. All right. Some of you may find that hard to believe, but I really don't. I don't believe that we are controlled by anything on earth. So that Jupiter and Saturn now squaring is the opening square of the energy that started in December 2020. So it's like December 2020, all the planets come together. They're speaking to each other. They're in harmony because they're all up in a tight little bundle in Capricorn, which is structure, everything changing, you know. And I kept saying back then, you can play the tapes back, because I was actually doing the podcast in my house that time, had no home studio or anything. It was during COVID. And I said, listen, this is about a new world order, a new world order. Well, now we have the opening square to that energy that we've been in since 2020. And what the opening square does is the opening square causes the point of conflict to really rear its ugly head again. And that's why you're going to see a little bit of COVID. You're going to see all the political things coming in. You're going to see the racial unrest revisited. You're going to see a lot of things happen, especially in the economy. And that's why I had said on last week's show, you're definitely going to see something change in currency and the global financial market. And what happened today? So it's not that I can predict what happens in the world. Astrology is not a predictive thing, but it shows us what the energy is and what is likely to be in the energy. And so we're in a time now where we have a point of conflict where expansive growth will happen, and sometimes growth can be very controversial. This is going to be with us until probably next summer, after that June 2025 date. And we're going to see so much adjustment. The world right now is going to be completely different by December, and then completely different again by June. So lots of planetary aspects also in this energy with Pluto. It's busy energy. It's electric. The world is moving at a more rapid pace than ever before. Think like back in the turn of the century, last century, not this one, Industrial Revolution, and how everything just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, and people couldn't pick up with it. And there's a train rushing by out the window as I do this. Man, so many signs of confirmation today, let me tell you. So the energy can be annoying. It's maximum... You're going to laugh at me, but this is like maximum irritant right now with the energy. And that's why people are going off the wall. So with the Aquarius full moon coming in on the 19th, and I'm probably going to talk about this again next Monday, this is the key to August. It's fast moving energy, but it's all part of a bigger process. So don't think things are going to ravel and, be tied up soon. This is till next June. We're going to see a lot of movement between now and December, and then another one ramp up after the Christmas Eve. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to make a really big prediction. Based on the charts that I'm seeing, and based on where I'm feeling the energy psychically, and I've looked at Kamala's chart, I think something is really going to come out around the time of the convention, August 14th to August 20th, that reveals something specifically about Kamala Harris. There's a very good chance that she will still get the nomination, but there's something very controversial being magnified by Jupiter in the energy. It builds up. It starts to build up on August 9th and 10th. And then by the 14th into the 20th, we've got a real, like, almost like, I don't want to say powder keg because I don't want to give the idea that it's violent. It doesn't need to be violent. There's just a lot of shifting of the sand. This is, like I said in the last broadcast, on the financial markets and the currency, things are not what they appear. There's much more going on than meets the eye. It's a quicksand kind of a financial market right now where you're going to sink in. Politically, I feel the energy right now is there's so much just under the surface. It's like if somebody was under this table right now, and I don't really see them, but they're orchestrating something. They're making something. They're harnessing some energy. They're creating something, and it's going to just come out and pop out. And that's how the energy feels like August 14th to 20th for me. I feel like it also has something to do with Joe Biden. So maybe something comes out that reveals why Biden really did, leave the race. And maybe that has something to do with Kamala. But whatever is revealed, I truly believe that it's something specifically to do with Kamala, something from her past, something that is revealed. And I feel that very strongly. If I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. No harm, no foul. But the astrology and the energy sounds like that. I also think that this energy is an energy where we feel tremendous pressure. It's like the pressure's being held back in a pressure cooker. And I know this sounds really all very negative, but it's not. Because even when these things occur, right, good things come out of them because it's all about change right now. The metamorphosis that's going on in the world behind the scenes and in our faces, in our own little personal lives, in our own dot of humanity is tremendous right now. And you really need to pay attention because Saturn and Jupiter are coming in. Mars also is going to be in play very much towards the middle and end of this month. This is hard work paying off. This is social structure. It's pressure that can't expand because Jupiter is like giving us this power to grow and expand and be more of who we are and step into our beautiful potential, our soul space. But Saturn is the authority. Saturn is saying, no, don't expand out so far that you never come back. Don't expand out so far that you lose yourself. Saturn is saying, do it in a way where it is in increments that you can digest and swallow. Pluto and Capricorn, all about digesting and being able to understand and process. And remember, as we do that this is all part of a much, much bigger process. And the reason why it's all happening and going on is because this process is about birthing a new world order. So how do we keep our Zen in such tremendous potential energy? I mean, that's what this is all about. It's potential. It's like you can see the potential. It's there. You can feel it. But it's in a fence. It's in a boundary. It's being held back. It's like a big Macy's Day balloon that keeps expanding and then it flies between two buildings and it's just like, I can't go anymore. And it's exhausting as well. That energy will ease up slowly and very dramatically. But right now, it's a pressure cooker type of energy. So what you want to do, now that we're in the maximum irritation of the world, is number one, I'm begging all of you, don't engage. I said on last week's show, and Joanna and I were talking about it on her show, Soul Searcher on Blog Talk Radio, that the best medicine and the best way to protect our peace and keep our Zen is to go within. Please, I'm begging all of you, try 5 or 10 minutes a day where you go into your own soul space and you're just in joy of something, even if that means you're just on the floor playing with your dog or your cat or whatever. We need to have those times. Make sure you're having a good relationship with time and you're not rushing around, which is very bad for the physical body as well as our energetic field, and that you're also not idle too much, being a couch potato and not using your life well. Another thing, and this is a really, really big one, is we all need to amplify our connection to a higher source. Now, we can go into our own soul space and feel that beautiful vibration within ourselves of that connection. But what are we worshiping? Are we worshiping food? Are we worshiping the gym? Are we worshiping, anything, any person, any situation, the thing that you think about the first minute you wake up in the morning, that's what you're worshiping. So I'll give you an example. I gained a little bit of weight for the first time, probably in almost like, I'm going to say almost 18 years. And it was because I had an injury this past winter and I was, couldn't do anything. I was in a wheelchair for a while and then recovery after that. So I was becoming not moving. I was becoming too sedentary and it was starting to affect my psyche. So it's things like that. So every day I would wake up and I was like in this loop where every day I would wake up and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe like my body just doesn't feel like my body anymore. I've gained this little bit of weight and like, I just don't feel like me, because I'm used to being small. And I thought about that every day when I woke up. And then I realized, ooh, wait a minute. I'm worshiping that weight gain because I'm thinking about it all the time. And that was when I changed my routine. And now I get up, I jump out of bed like a cannonball, and I eat a little some protein, and then I go to the gym, and I'm back in my routine that I've always had for many, many, many years. And I'm starting to feel like me again. I'm moving differently, and my energy is different, and just because I had to check in. And when you find what works for you, you have to keep doing it and maintaining it. And so I'm not a vain person, but I'm a healthy person. And so I like to feel a certain way. And so when I'm waking up every day thinking about how awful I feel or how something doesn't feel quite right, it's misaligned, I'm worshiping that thing. And that's not what you want to worship. So think about what your first thing is that you think about every day and change that. Because you cannot keep your peace and you cannot stay out of the chaos if you wake up thinking about chaos or you wake up thinking about negativity. Then you're going to be in negativity all the time. The other thing is, I'm going to say to you, step out of the chaos. And we all have chaos in our life. Sometimes that chaos is, our drive time in the morning going to work if we have to go on, a busy highway that people are all very aggressively driving and it's very frightening for us. Well, maybe that means you have to leave your house a half hour early. Avoid the chaos. I have started to either do some of my shopping in the evening after, most people are home, or in the morning before anybody gets up. Like I go to the gym every day at 7 a.m. So I'm in the gym and then in the grocery store maybe at like 8:15 in the morning or something like that. So you want to change your routine so that you're out of the chaos. If there are people around you who talk nothing but chaos, all they're talking about is, oh my God, this happened, blah, blah, blah. You've got to not eliminate them from your life, but you have to change your own way that you deal with that. Zone out, tune them out, don't see them for a while, things like that. So I would definitely change being in and around chaos. And sometimes we're in so much chaos that we don't realize we're in it. I had someone in my life that was extremely chaotic, just very volatile and, a hair trigger person. And now anytime that starts, I remove myself. Unfortunately, I have to work with this person sometimes because they are in a work environment. But I just, I make an excuse, even if it's a little white lie. And I say, oh my God, I have to hang up. I have an appointment right now, or I have another Zoom I have to get on, and I don't deal with it. I don't allow it in my energy field, not in a malicious way. If you're going to clear chaos out of your life, you have to do it with love, because if you do it in a malicious way, then it's more negativity. And the other way I'm going to tell you that's really important to keep your peace and protect your Zen is, I know you guys are going to hate this one, but really I'm begging you, just try it. A half hour before you're going to retire, a half hour before you're going to go in and sleep, no devices, no iPads, no phones, no television, no anything. Just a half hour before sleep, maybe read a little book or read a little saying, maybe listen to some beautiful music, not hardcore rock and roll, listen to a little meditation, a guided meditation, take a warm bath, take a warm shower. Do something where you're in the room. And by in the room, I don't mean necessarily you have to be in your bedroom, but you're present in your day. You're present in real life. You're not zoning out, looking at a screen, something flashing. You're not talking on the phone. You're not, you're in reality in a peaceful way. And then let me know if your sleep improves. Because one of the most important things for your calm, your relaxation, and your overall well-being is sleep. We have to sleep. And so if you're on a device up until the minute you close your eyes, your sleepscape, your dreamscape is going to be completely disturbed. It's going to be erratic and chaotic, and you're bringing that energy with you wherever you go. So please, please hang up the devices a half hour before you go to sleep. You have to allow yourself to be present in your day. The other thing is, and this is going to be probably the last one that I'm going to give you for guidelines, is, like I said, do something that you enjoy every day for at least 5 to 10 minutes to put you in a soul space. Check your relationship with time and make it better. Clear the chaos out of your life. And then the one that I really think is most important also is we have to have a place that we go throughout the day in our mind that is just ours. And I use box breathing. It's where you do 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, like in a big square. And it works this way. It's a 4-second intake of breath, like you intaking 1, 2, 3, 4, holding it 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 1, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat a 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. And you just keep rotating it. No one knows you're doing it. And what it does is it brings you back to the present. It calms your parasympathetic nervous system. Navy SEALs use that when they're in tight enclosures, in tight places. Just by doing a 4-step breath, it takes you 16 seconds. Do 3 rounds. No one's even going to know. You'll see, if you can get in the habit of doing that, set a timer, set your watch, make it so that every time you hear a certain noise, maybe it's, when your phone rings, maybe it's, something, a timer that goes off or whatever it might be, but use that to reset yourself. And you have to do that throughout your day. Otherwise your day runs away with you. My watch is set for like every couple of hours. It reminds me to breathe. And that's when I do my 4-part breath. And that makes my day very heightened and I enjoy it more. Colors are brighter. People are more alive to me. I'm more present in my day and I function better. Also, another little trick, the same type of thing, is if you're in a meeting or you're in, waiting in a doctor's office, or you're with someone even in your family that's becoming a little stressful, you're sitting at the table or you're sitting, in your living room or wherever, make sure both feet are flat on the floor. Just, shift your weight and put both feet flat on the floor. And it grounds you, and it brings you back into a moment where you're not in the chaos. Your mind's not racing. You're not 20 minutes prior and you're not 20 minutes ahead. You're just beautifully in the space. I oftentimes do that when things get very trying or hectic in meetings. I spend a lot of my time in meetings with clients and customers and other people in leadership in the company I work for, or even just sales meetings. And every once in a while, if you're ever really observing me, you'll see I just shift in my seat a little bit. I do it even on the show, because if I have a tendency to cross my legs or cross my ankles, at one point I'll put both feet just completely on the ground, a flat surface. And it changes the posture, it changes your energy flow, and it grounds you into the earth. And it's a beautiful way to keep your calm and your peace, because it brings you back to the present. And the final one, I thought that was going to be my final one, but I just thought of the other one that I wanted to say before. I ask myself 27,000 times a day this one simple phrase. And some of you who watch the show religiously will know what that phrase is. I ask myself this all the time. Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? Someone comes into my office and like, da, 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 and they're like going off, and I'm just like observing it. And the first thing I think is this true? Not that they're lying or it isn't true, but is the level of intensity we're giving it the truth? People exaggerate, they use hyperbole. We all make things really dramatic, right? Like, oh my God, the stock market's down 1,100 points. I'm going to lose everything. Is that true? No. Oh my God, I almost had an accident. I could have been killed. Is that true? I mean, I might have gotten a dent in my car, but I don't think I was killed. Like, is it true? And stay and live and function in that truth, because when you do that, Also, everything seems a little calmer in truth, unless something really catastrophic happened, then wow, this is true. Then you can get upset. But that's my words of wisdom for tonight. So definitely find me on Zencuda.com. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Joanna is on tonight. You can catch Joanna tomorrow night on Blog Talk Radio on Soul Searcher with Joanna Garfi-McNally and Kimba, Angel Rita, who I love dearly. Did a reading for Kimba this week. I was so honored. Oh, love her if she's watching. And Elaine is on here. I don't have any vibes about the Middle East, Elaine. I feel like it could go either way, but I definitely, for some reason, feel like things are getting amped up. And that's it. Just want to say hello to all my lovelies. And Nilda, also, thank you so much for, being new on this Soul Space podcast. And Barbara's on here. Great show. Sarah's on here. You guys are welcome. I love you guys so much. Just absolutely adore you. You can find me on Zencuda.com, Zencuda Soul Space on Facebook, and of course on YouTube, Zencuda, where this show will be, and all kinds of clips. I have over 200 and something videos on there. I do full moon and new moon and all kinds of stuff, and some lives and some shorts, so you can always find me. If you want to book a reading, go to Zencuda.com, and please do leave your email on the site. We don't bother you. We don't sell your email. We don't spam you. It's simply to alert you if I'm doing any online classes or events that you want to keep in touch with us. Thank you so much. I am wonderfully blessed that all of you are in the soul space. Usually this time of year, my viewership goes down because, everyone's vacationing, but you guys have been so loyal and so wonderful. I'm going to have such beautiful things coming up for you guys. So stay tuned. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week in the Zencuda Soul Space. I'll get that right.